Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. Got a bunch of quick little video clips to show you. That I do a little voiceover. Today's election day. For me, it's Monday, whatever day it is, November 4th. And tomorrow is election day, November 5th. But this video will be up on Tuesday. I'm putting videos up every day until the election, and then we'll see what happens. I want to talk about the election in a second. Let me show you these things first. So one of my viewers sent me a message on Facebook with this, and it started my day off great. It was a great way to start off my day because this happened.
Kamala did what Kamala always does. She just put her head down and she went to work. Kamala.
Yeah, she did. Dougie. Dougie Fresh, bring in the joy. Dougie. Kamala Deepats Harris put her head down and she went to work like she always does. Kamala Harris and Dougie Fresh. It's a love story for the ages. So that made my day. There's other stuff I had that's already great. So the next thing was, Twitter recommends things for me. And it recommended this from Donald J. Trump. Mark Cuban is a really dumb guy who thinks he's hot stuff. This is the real Donald J. Trump. I mean, this is how my morning started today. Like that, I think I saw this thing first. And then I saw the other thing. I mean, it's just to wake up with laughter. Donald J. Trump is really old, and also really immature, because this is what a kid would say growing up in the 50s, right? Mark Cuban is a really dumb guy who thinks he's really hot stuff, but he's absolutely nothing. Is now out there saying that I don't surround myself with strong women. Actually, he is very wrong. I surround myself with the strongest women, with the understanding that all women are great, whether strong or not. This is your guy. This is your savior. This is a lot of people's saviors. This guy is such a fool. He's constantly on television being critical, and only for the reason that I tuned him out completely while president because he called incessantly. He called incessantly. I told him very pointedly, look, Mark, I got a lot of things to do. I just can't be taking so many pointless calls from you. That's what he said to him. He said that to Mark. Hey, Mark, I'm a president. I'm kind of a busy guy. You just call with these pointless calls. In any event, that affected him greatly because he's a very insecure guy and a major loser. He's not hot stuff. He's a major loser. He thinks he's hot stuff. Always been and always will be. Nobody likes him. Nobody respects him. And he's very unattractive, both inside and out. Donald Trump's big on appearance. He should go back and talk about the person he was forced to support because I didn't want it. Lying Kamala Harris. Also, he's got no clubhead speed. He's going after Mark Cuban's golf game. The day before, when did this get posted? Where's the time? This was last night, I guess October 31st. But I saw it today. In fact, there's no club speed. I may, in fact, be surrounded by the strongest women in the world, including heads of countries, who make Mark look like a baby. All strong women, and women in general, should be angry about this weak man's statement. This is classic Trump rant. I used to really enjoy these when he was president until, he got worked on COVID and then he collapsed into a pile of goo. And then he pushed out the vax and all that stuff, Operation Warp Speed. But this was hilarious and just classic Trump. So, heading into the last days of this was Halloween, he put this out there. Mark Cuban was making the rounds, and I guess it got to Trump. Okay, so YouTube recommended this last night. Remember this behavior? I've showed you. I have a whole compilation. I'm not going to put it in here, where they pretend. I mean, the Republicans, Democrats all do this. It's political theater. They usually blame it on the heat, but it's November.
In. We need water right here.
Water. Somebody needs water. It's just like they need water. It's taking control.
Water up front.
Water up front. Someone needs it. Somebody need water.
Do we have
So good.
volunteer? Just give them some air. A lot of times standing
Give them
up.
some air. Just go out there. Everybody use their hands and fan some air towards them. Like everybody use their hands or blow. Everyone blow right at this person. You, Kamala, you're the best. Go blow air. Go blow air at this person. They need some air and they need some water. Basic needs right here. Water and air for this person. This person's been deprived of water and air and they need it right now. Can somebody get down there and give them some water and some air?
This long time is hard. You all spread out.
Spread out. Give them some space. Water, air, and space. Everyone else get the fuck out of here. We need water and space in here.
And you guys bounce on your knees, standing up. You all are young, but you're probably all dehydrated, aren't you?
Yeah, so bounce on your knees and do some of your water. Leave some of your liquid in your body. Everybody urinate on this person there on the floor. They need liquid.
Everybody not drinking enough water.
Exactly. You guys can drink more water. I'm a health expert. I know. I was first lady for 8 years.
How's she doing? All right.
Water and air?
So, now to the work part, because I want you all to listen, because now I hope you're asking the question how you're going to make sure that that doesn't happen, especially for your futures. How are you going to make sure that those in power actually care about you?
Get some water and some air. I'm giving you guys free water and free air. That's my platform after Kamala shits the bed here.
And it's not by sitting out. Are we getting help? It's not by sitting out.
Taking control.
Or is it by it's by using the tools you have to make sure that those in power actually see you. That's what all of this, why we have you guys all together here, Georgia, because the greatest power we have is
water and air and space and all these things.
Influencing the outcome
Michelle Obama, 2028.
of an election. You okay, sweetie?
Sweetie.
Oh, poor baby.
Poor baby, poor little baby, little baby.
You guys, then make way this way. Get her to come this way. You all, she's probably really just dehydrated.
Dehydrated, like a lack of. She hasn't drinking water in 6 months.
And get her shoe. Get her shoe, Marone.
There's just a fucking shoe there. Who thinks he is? Donald Trump?
Marone, get her shoe.
Get her shoe.
Marone.
Get it.
Marone.
Come on, Marone. Is Marone her dog?
Shoe.
Come on, Marone. You're fucking up out there. It's pronounced moron. It's not pronounced Marone. It's pronounced moron.
Probably really just dehydrated. And get her shoe. Get her shoe, Marone.
Moron.
Marone, get her shoe.
Moron.
Marone.
Moron.
Marone.
Moron.
Get her shoe.
Get her shoe, moron.
She gonna want her shoe.
She gonna want her shoe and some water and some air. She needs all those things. Shoes and water and air.
You all, thank you. Thank you for
guys.
looking out.
You guys looking out for other people. This clown, Michael Moore, says that he knows what's up here.
There are just 2 days remaining until what could be the most consequential election.
Okay, let's get to Michael Moore here. 2 days. Consequential, this guy bringing it. What's he got, Michael? There he is. Look at him. Look at him. Michael looking good.
Do you stand behind that today?
Oh, even more so. I just keep wondering the gift that the Trump campaign keeps giving us, I don't think they realize, I don't think they really are in touch with where the majority of Americans are at. The majority of Americans do not want this divisiveness. They don't want a threat of violence.
Yeah, but Kamala Harris has been campaigning full out on Trump's being the fascist and the worst person of all time. That's her campaign, bro, right? You recognize that? Yeah, I think he said toast. Did this guy ask him?
And that today
Oh, let me see if he asked him the whole question here.
is toast. We're almost 48 hours out from perhaps.
Do the math. Trump is toast. He's toast because of his divisiveness, right? The guy did say Mark Cuban thinks he's hot stuff. I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you saw. I wonder if he would say what he say about your appearance. I wonder what kind of, like he called Stormy Daniels horse face. Like, what would he call Michael Moore, right? I mean, this droopy bulldog looking MNFer. And, he's very divisive, very insulting. And we've just had enough of it. We've all had so much of this divisiveness. And you guys whining about Trump for 4 years, right? Okay, I'm getting off track here. Let's get to my other stuff here. Okay, so I watched some of the football game. Was it the Vikings and the Colts last night? So primetime football, right? Sunday night football. And I watched some of the other games as well. And they were saturated with ads. But this one takes the cake. I want to show you a couple of Trumps as well. But this one is, if you go to Kamala Harris's channel today on Monday, this plays automatically, right? And this is Brighter Future, Kamala Harris's closing ad. She ran a 2-minute ad on Sunday Night Football, some of the most expensive commercial programming, right? 2 minutes, because she raised over $1 billion in 3 months. I mean, this is the kind of money that the Democrats are able to raise for whatever reason. And a lot of that's got to be corporate money, because that ain't coming from just individuals, right? So she had over $1 billion to spend in a 3-month period. And now her and Trump are running crazy ads. And I guess they're calling and doing all these things to people. I mean, all these people get messages and they're being harassed, right? Like, it's just, well, let's just get into this thing.
Come here, Hannah. Shake my hand.
Come on, Hannah.
Good.
And bring everybody back together.
And that's exactly how I feel.
That's what I'm doing.
She wants to bring everyone back together.
Okay, you have to stay in touch with me, okay? I'm very serious about that. Okay.
Stay in touch with me, okay? 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 Are you going to stay in touch with me? Okay? Okay? Stay in touch with me. In case I lose, then fuck off. If I lose, then no. But if I'm president, you can try to stay in touch with me, and I'll totally talk to you after I'm president. I will.
Throughout this campaign, I've seen the best of America.
Kamala did what Kamala always does. She just put her head down and she went to work.
And I've seen what is holding you back and weighing you down.
Trump. I've seen the best of America.
High costs, fundamental rights taken away, and politics that have driven fear and division.
Boom. All from Donald Trump. Well, the high costs were kind of our fault. The bailouts and the expenditures.
You deserve better.
You deserve better, America. And here I am to give you better. I'm putting my head down. I'm going to work.
As
Look at this guy. Look at this.
President, I'll bring a new generation of leadership. I'll take on price gouging and bring down the cost of groceries.
Yeah, no one knows. That's not true. I covered this before. It's not price gouging. It's inflation, which is better than it should be. You guys have been artificially holding back inflation. Inflation's going to be in like 100 to 200%. And so before whatever it was, I mean, it's always growing inflation, right? But the debt is astronomical, and it's just going to keep growing. And so it isn't price gouging that's the problem. It's inflation. Your dollar is worth less when you're talking about commodities, things that are real. Your dollar has imaginary value that changes, and it's pegged against real things like food and commodities, right? And so, and oil and gold and things like that. And so when the dollar is devalued, then the prices go up. It's called inflation.
And housing and prescriptions. I'll fight for your freedom to make your own choices, and I will protect your health care and your benefits, not take them away.
I will protect them and not take them away by giving out all kinds of more money and devaluing the dollar so that when you get your benefits, they'll be worth nothing because the dollar will be devalued. Because, I'm going to increase spending just like Trump will. And so the dollar either way is going to be devalued, and you guys are going to be shit out of luck.
The vast majority of people in our country have so much more in common than what separates them.
They do. This is her closing. A brighter future.
Good people.
Good people.
Hardworking people.
Hardworking people.
We see in our fellow Americans neighbors, not enemies.
Not enemies, just neighbors.
We believe in each other.
Each other we believe.
We believe in our country.
Look at this kid riding around with an American flag. He's just a patriot, not an actor. He's just a kid who decided to buy an American flag and stick it on his scooter and then drive in front of the camera with people saying, "Hey, kid, drive in front of the camera."
We're not falling for these folks who are trying to divide us.
We ain't falling for no division from those folks that try to divide us. We're not big dividers. We're always trying to unite. That's why we say things about their supporters, like call them garbage men and things like that, or just plain out garbage.
Together, we'll build a brighter future for our nation.
Yeah, we will. Brighter future. There's a kid right there reading, standing up and reading and smiling. Things that kids like to do nowadays. Picking up a book and standing and smiling and standing in front of a camera because they're actors.
We stand for...
Okay, so the brainiacs over there at the Kamala Harris campaign copyrighted the rest of this video. And I'm going to just take out the segment. I can't deal with it. It's not that important. I mean, there's some funny jokes here, I think. But, just moronic because this is our closing message and getting it out there as best as possible. Like, most people aren't going to watch it. Many of you would not see this thing other than seeing it here with me. Yeah, I'm mocking it. But when you're promoting something, whether it be a trailer, Netflix does the same stupid shit. You want it out there as much as possible. Because people just need to know about it because you're promoting something. In this case, Kamala Harris to vote for her. But they're stupid and they did it, so here's the end of it here.
As president, I will get up every day and fight for the American people.
Just like Trump, fight, 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 fight. Okay, so that was pathetic, right? After all this divisive stuff going into the end and calling him a fascist and then saying that she's the one that's being the uniter. Okay, so I had to scroll through Donald J. Trump's Twitter to find that epic Mark Cuban post. And here he is, great day in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, thank you. Out here, these places, he's doing all this. And then he gets into his ads here somewhere. Here it is. A special message from President Donald J. Trump. Here he is wearing his hat. Make America Great Again. He's got it on. And here it is.
Hello to our great sports fans, and I
hope they don't copyright this because of fucking music, because that would be really stupid on their part. Hello to you great sports fans. Sports fans. What? Sports fans? Oh, he must be talking on the game. This must have came on one of the football games.
hope you're having a fantastic time. We're 2 days away from the most important election in the history of our country. We've got to save our country.
The music is very off-putting. And when I was saying the thing about him copywriting, my last video, I had a Trump ad, and they copyrighted it. And I was showing you the ad, and he would have got that ad out there for free. I was mocking it, of course, but that doesn't matter. You're still seeing the message, right? And so it's just really stupid to put out ads and then copyright them or use copyright material. Like, one of the things you want to do is people to share your stuff. But, Trump.
It needs saving. It's in very bad shape. The worst economic numbers in generations were just announced 2 days ago.
He's really fishboying it.
We're
really fishboying it today.
Losing jobs. We're losing everything, including viability.
Viability we're losing. I've lost my vitality. I mean viability.
We're going to end up in a...
Vitality. I mean, I said fertility. It was a combination of vitality and fertility.
Depression based on what's been happening.
Depression, I tells you. You know, Mark Cuban, Let me get off. I had a whole message I'm going to give you, but Mark Cuban, he thinks he's hot stuff.
We've never seen anything like it, at least for the last 40 years. We have to straighten out our country. We have to close our borders. We have to lower our taxes. We have to get rid of inflation, and we're going to do it. Just remember, Kamala and her friends broke it. I'll fix it. Most important.
Boom. That's his closing statement. So that's his closing statement. But remember, for my last video, he couldn't deal with a broken microphone while it said Trump will fix it on the thing. Jim will fix it. Remember this guy, Jimmy Savile? He had a show called, this guy was a serial pedophile. And, I mean, he was like banging corpses and stuff and these kids and all this stuff. And good friends with the royal family. He could just walk into the Buckingham Palace, good friends with Prince Charles. And he had this thing he'd do where he'll say, Jim will fix it. And kids would come with their problems and they'd say, Jim will fix it. This creep, right? But, fish boy. Look at him fish boying it.
Important election in the history of our country. Go and vote.
Boom. Swamp the vote, USA.com. Swamp the vote. And so there's one more here. This is his other ad.
Kamala backed Biden on everything. She was the deciding vote for his disastrous economic agenda.
Boom. More music.
They raised taxes on the middle class.
Boom. Taxes.
And prices soared.
Prices are soaring.
Kamala was in charge of his open border policies.
Boom. Borders are.
Giving welfare to illegals while Americans struggle.
They're struggling. Look at these two Americans struggling. These are a couple hardworking Americans, not actors. And they're struggling. Look, that's a face of a woman who's struggling, right? Like she just can't, she just can't put her head down, go to work and not struggle. I mean, she's got real problems.
And their weakness invited wars.
Global war.
Now Kamala wants to double down on failure. It's time to turn the page on Joe and Kamala's failure.
Boom, turn the page. Trump using the turn the page. The Gwen Walls shit. Plus, they really nailed this. Look at her condescending look. This was the look. She looks like a dude here. This is a condescending look that she gave to Trump during the debate that, was off-putting towards men, and they never picked it up. And then here he is, right? Look at him with his Crypt Keeper mullet and just all of it. That's a great photo to shit on them.
Agenda.
But President Trump, this guy, remember this guy? Remember this moment, this pose right here? Like he's storming the Norma Regina with ketchup on his face.
Trump fights for you.
He fights for you and you alone.
His strength kept us safe. Trump cut taxes for families. Prices were lower.
Prices were lower before he and Biden started all these COVID bailouts.
The border secure.
The borders were secure. Look at these guys.
Now President Trump can do it again.
Again, he can do it. He did it once. He can do it again.
And we are going to launch a new golden age of American success for the citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed.
Remember, Kamala broke it.
Kamala broke it.
President Trump will fix it.
Boom! Delivering the final message. So these are the final messages to these. Well, let's get into it here. And so they are dumping, I don't know what Trump raised, but they're dumping hundreds of millions of dollars, begging people who can't make up their fucking minds to vote for him. I mean, these are the worst of the worst, right? I'm not saying they're worse than pedophiles, but in terms of the American citizens right now, you can't make up your mind like 3 months ago. You still don't know. 2 days before the election, you don't know whether you're going to vote for Kamala or Trump or not at all. Those are your three choices, or some independent candidate, which is not at all, right? Right in Mickey Mouse. So if you're going to vote and your vote's going to mean something, it has to be for either Kamala or Trump. And if you don't vote, that's what I'm doing, you would already know that as well, right? You'd realize this is a sham and a scam, and probably your vote doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Mine certainly doesn't, because Trump's going to win my state. But in reality, whether they count the votes or not, or whether they rig the elections or not, your vote doesn't matter, because nobody that they produce will ever be able to do any real change. These people are pathetic and they're horrible people. But if you feel like one or the two candidates or your political decision means something, you should have been able to make up your fucking mind already. Like if you're sitting there not knowing who you would rather win, I mean, even from the standpoint you want to see, like say Rachel Maddow suffer, or maybe you want to see Fox News be bummed out. I guess Fox News probably wouldn't be bummed out because they've been wanting to get rid of Trump. Maybe you just want to get rid of Trump and you want to stop hearing about Trump all the time. I mean, whatever it is. Or maybe they have one specific thing that they're promising to do for you that'll make your life better. Like if they live up to their promises, one of their policies is better for you. But either way, whether it be personality, you should be able to, personality or politics or economics or just, people who bug you in your life and you want to get revenge, do a revenge vote because, the people in your life are Kamala supporters or Trump supporters and you just want to piss them off or whatever. Whatever your fucking reason, you should be able to make up your mind, get off the fucking fence and vote, right, for one or the other. Like you should already know months ago. And if you don't, and you're in one of these 10 swing states, right, which, they're trying to make Iowa a swing state and some of these other states. There's a Republican tweet today saying Kamala's internal polls say that she's losing Virginia and one of these other states that she was supposed to win. Like people are just bullshitting, right? And we don't even know if the voting is legitimate and whether it's just going to be rigged anyway, right? But in all of that, I mean, it's already rigged. The system's already rigged against you. And it's rigged politically. But these people can't make up their minds. And you're begging these people for your votes, right? And that's what Trump and Kamala are doing, is spending a fortune trying to reach these people. These people who, the worst kind of people can't make a fucking choice, right? You should be able to make choices. And for me, they're easy because of my, spiritual practice. Like my heart, I meditate on my heart, and my heart is a center of intelligence in a different way, like a feeling way, right? From the Sajmarg meditation that I do. And that it connects to the divinity within me, the soul. And it's just easy for me to understand what I need to do. Like I just know what I need to do, whatever it is. I mean, I'm much more important things in this fucking election, right? And so people can't make up their minds. I don't know. Should I vote for Kamala? Or should I vote for Trump? Should I vote for Kamala? What are you talking about? Like, how can you not know? Like, how can you fucking not know who to vote for? I mean, just in terms of yourself, how can you not be able to make that choice? You can't make that fucking choice? Well, what choices can you make? I mean, it should be an easy choice, right? Trump is so divisive, but Kamala is so unlikable. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, but my vote is so important. I live in Pennsylvania, and my vote is so important. What are you doing, right? And why would you pander to people like that? Why would those people be able to decide something that's supposed to be so important as saving the country? The people who can't make up their minds till the end, like these last-minute voters, right? And you're going to dump a shit ton of money, and you're going to beg these people, these fence riders who can't make any kind of rational decision within a reasonable time frame. Not only that, but these ads are really stupid and bad. Like these ads are horrible. And somebody sitting there watching a football game and having Trump come in and give them a message, or Kamala Harris run a 2-minute ad with her faking to care about people in the beginning, and all of that stuff, right? And it's just pathetic. Like it's pathetic that these ads would make a difference. Because if you are affected by these ads and you bought into one of these ads, like if one of these ads swayed you from one person to the other, then you have no ability to understand the world around you. Like you can't understand it, see through the lies and deceptions of even on a primitive level. I mean, you have the mind of a child, right? That these ads would affect you in some way. Oh, wow, these ads are great. That ad was great. I'm going to now vote for Kamala or Trump. The ads are horrible, and they're targeted at really stupid people. and people can't make up their frickin' minds. Stupid, undecided people, right? And so, I mean, for them to dump all those ads, put all those ads and robocalling, and you think harassing people is going to get them out to vote for you by calling them and text messaging them and hammering them with commercials and saturating it, like people sitting there watching a football game. I wasn't gonna vote, but now that ad, it just touched my soul. Like, what the fuck, right? Like, this shows you more than anything that, I mean, I've been saying this, our system's fucked. Because if those are the people that are going to decide your fate and the fate of America, because both candidates are saying if the other candidate gets elected, it's the end of America, and that this is the most important election in history, and these undecided people that are going to be swayed by really stupid, pathetic commercials would be able to prevent the apocalypse or make it happen, right? Based in their last second deciding powers, So, I mean, that's like the whole thing's fucked. Like, it's just silly. And so, the election's going to happen today. Tomorrow for me. I'm on Monday, right? But the election's going to happen tomorrow, and there'll be one good thing that happens, because for one of these two people, it's the end. And I don't know about Trump, because they might just keep him around and indict him. But he's no real threat anymore, because he's not going to run for president in 2028. He loses this one, he's out. The Republicans are not, And there'll be a lot of heartbroken people, and there'll be all that Trumpers. And, that would make me happy, the Trumpers who are deluded about Trump, being miserable. Just as it would make me happy if he wins, that all the MSNBC people and CNN people, all these experts who say that, they have to admit that democracy doesn't work. Because if Trump is the devil, then the devil would have been elected fucking twice, right? I mean, he's the devil to these people. And so how can you say democracy works? And then they'll have to openly admit they have to rig the election and change the system to keep people from Trump. And then, but then we'll have the next 4 years of them. I mean, it'll be the last 2 or 1 year of Trump with COVID and all that bullshit. Remember how that sucked, that last year of Trump and all of it, and the riots and all the things that happened. I mean, the whole election process, all those things. It'll be that, but 4 years of that, right? So that'll suck. And otherwise you have 4 years of Kamala being president, and that'll suck. So either way, it's going to suck. But the good thing is it's the end of the line for one of these two people, that we can finally move, we can turn the page on Trump or turn the page on Kamala, and either way, it'll be great. That part of it. And so, if we want a glass half full, it's that one of these two people will no longer be part of our life, and the election will be over, and then we can watch the apocalypse unfold, the apocalypse, and we can, decide what we're going to do personally to survive the thing, whatever that may be. And so, this is where we are, right, as a country. And for them to be begging these people who, can't make up their minds over two candidates that clearly are what they're both parties are platforms involve that we're now in apocalypse, right? That the system is collapsing, and if the other person gets elected, like I said before, it's doomsday. So they're both saying doomsday, right? And they've been saying this for a while, and that we can't have another 4 years of Trump, or we can't have another first 4 years of Kamala. That's what's being said. That's pretty clear, right? And if that's the case, if both people are saying the apocalypse, the doomsday is on the table, the end of America as we now know it is there, because it is, because of the massive amount of debt and the just breakdown. It's really the people. People suck so bad right now. And if you have a situation like that, right, where it's a dire situation and you need somebody to save you from the brink, and we can't be saved, but, this is the idea here. Like I said before, you need somebody great, and you need a supporting team of great people. When a spiritual person comes down, you guys who are Christians know this with Jesus, people with a Christian background. The disciples, even though some of them betrayed him and some of them whatever, Mary Magdalene as well, these people, they are all higher developed souls. And so when a spiritual being comes down. It's not just Christianity. It's these various movements that have happened. They come down in a cluster of souls to make a spiritual movement happen. And it's not just the main guy. It's the support system that's around the main guy of higher developed souls. And this has to happen. You can't just have one person out there on their own. And you can't have one great person. You know, like if you think about the founding fathers, of course they were slave owners. I mean, you know, there's always, you know, bullshit that goes along with it. Like they weren't perfect. But whenever something unique or great happens in the world, especially spiritually, especially to do with God, but anything, any great movement, you know, you have all these people. You know, Swami Vivekananda, who was a great Indian saint, was friends with Nikola Tesla, right? Like you have these higher developed souls that come in, great people, Mahatmas, and the Indian tradition. You have these great souls that come in and incarnate. You know, Tesla and Edison. Now Thomas Edison was a kind of a prick, but you know, like he was an inventor. He invented stuff. Like you have people. There's a competition there. Sometimes it's an adversarial situation where you have two great people who are in competition, and they produce great things because of that competition, right? And so you need like two great souls here, like two epic souls. And you got a couple of dunces, like morons, like they're both stupid. Kamala is really stupid, and Trump is really stupid, and he's old, and his brain, his best days are long behind him. And so, like, they're not, these are not great people. Joe Biden is a great person, right? Like, we haven't had great people. We've had some good politicians. Obama was a good politician, right? I mean, Trump is his way a great politician, but not great people. And they're able to, work the political system. Obama and Clinton and, some of these, people with George W. Bush in his way, right? They're great politicians, not great people. They weren't people that could, change the course of history, and it's not going to be changed because of the rest of us. Even if we had the greatest president in the world, the rest of us suck. The rest of us are, even more so, like in terms of each generation gets worse. So it's like not like we have an up-and-coming generation. There's supposed to be these indigo children, right? These indigo and crystal children in the New Age community. It's talked about in my meditation that there's going to be a lot of higher developed souls coming in and maybe, they're just not there in front of anybody. They're not going to be politicians. They're not going to be, CEOs of companies. They're going to work on a spiritual level. They're going to be hidden away from, so hopefully they're all out there, right? These higher developed souls. But we don't see them, right? We don't see that right now. And so if there's a lot of these higher developed souls coming in to change the course of history, which I believe is possible, I hope it's happening, right? It's harder to see because all we see is stupidity and entitlement and, idiocracy and a degradation of the human species, immorality, right? And so, but, there's always, whenever there's a movement, there's a counter movement. And whenever there's a spiritual movement, there's like a devil or demonic movement, right? A devilish or demonic movement. Like every time there's a great spiritual movement, there's a lot of evil there too. It's like two opposing forces, right? And the evil's there to bring out the good. The evil's there to magnify the good. Like the good has to be, the divine has to be, even more meticulous, even more pristine. The light has to shine even brighter because of the darkness, right? And so, hopefully that's happening. I would have said it had to do with my organization, but the guy running it his son just got indicted for $170 million, right? Because the Sajmark system that has, helped me in so many different ways, the organization has shit the bed. So, that was my big hope in terms of the, on an organizational level at least. The method and the system still works. But, who are the people that are going to actually embrace it and transform from it? Because the whole system collapsed very recently in a way that would be funny if it wasn't so painful for me. But anyways, that's where we are. And so no one's going to save you because you can't be saved. Look at this stupidity here. Look at them pandering to people who are, shouldn't be pandered to. They should be chastised. Make up your fucking mind, right? Like, just make up on your mind. Go in there and pick, just randomly close your eyes. You put on a fucking blindfold or something and pick somebody, because it doesn't fucking matter. They're two dopes and they're horrible people, and they don't have the capacity to save a country that can't be saved. So just pick somebody. Just go in there and make a fucking choice, right? Like, what do? You sit there and you got you got like a Peter Pan peanut butter and Jif in the other hand. Do they see if it exists? And you're like, hey, which peanut butter? This one says it's the creamiest peanut butter, but this one says it's more nutritious. Like, just make your fucking mind up, right? Like, it just doesn't matter. So it's election day, folks. All right, let's get into the other stuff here. Okay, so I want to add something here that's, related in a kind of a sideways way. I guess it's daylight savings times today, and my wife and I had experience with somebody, in our in the periphery of, relative, my wife's relative, that I thought was worth talking about here. And so the first part to this is the third master of Sagemark system, Master Charger. He used to give talks like I do here, right? That this is, so a lot of what I've gotten here is like listening to his talks and seeing him do these talks and, picking things up through osmosis. Like, I benefited from his skill level. And he was talking one time about marriage, and he said, people write to me all the time about wanting marital bliss, but have you given bliss, right? Like, you want marital bliss from the other person, but have you given bliss to them? Like, why do you expect to have bliss when you're not willing to give it? You think that you deserve bliss, but you're not willing to give it to the other person. You expect them to give you bliss, but you're not, giving them bliss. It's obvious what he's saying here, but I've thought about a lot. I've thought about that quite a bit, and as a counselor and seeing people in life and whatever. And, hearing that, like, for me now, like you guys, I'm not talking to anybody personally, right? But understanding that, why do you deserve to be happy when happiness or bliss? Why do you deserve that when you're not willing to give it to other people? What bliss have you given, right? In what way have you given people the happiness and the love and the, or the needs, fulfilling their needs and doing the things for them? Everything's very selfish. People think that, they should get unconditional love, and yet they're very judgmental and withholding with their love, right? People are always, saying, okay, I'll wait till the other person opens up and gives to me, and then I'll open up and give to them, right? There's this attitude, whether it be in a marital situation or in the family or just, coworkers or neighbors or whatever it is, right? People are, are withholding their, what they have to give to other people until they get something from them, right? And for good reason. A spiritual person, and I know this, is just like a spiritual master or somebody like that, just gives. Love is flowing through them, and they're not looking for anything in return. And they're just giving and giving and giving of themselves and allowing love to flow through them and positive energy. And they're willing to do whatever work necessary for God to help other people, connect to God and or whatever it might be, right? And they just give and give and give without any thought of receiving anything back. Of course, as human beings, they're going to have their dark moments where they realize they're giving and giving and people are giving them shit back, right? People dump their crap on you, like, and, their spiritual refuse, and you keep on giving to them, and they just keep on dumping crap on you instead of reciprocating. And, that's a, horrible situation, right? Even, the most evolved people, they're going to have their human moments and realizing they're getting a really bad deal, at least on an egotistical level, they're going to realize that, right? But the idea is that you just keep on giving like a river, like water is flowing through a river at all times. Otherwise, you become like a pond where the water stagnates and it stinks and it, dies and it gets, growth and all those things on it, right? Some algae and contaminants where, river is clean. It's just flowing through all the time. And there's always more water to replenish it. There's always more divine energy to replenish it, right? But people don't think that way. People just want to receive. We live in a society of takers. Many people are bankrupt and have nothing to give. because they've been so used. They gave to one person who broke their heart or something, or they've just been beaten down their whole life, so there's just nothing inside them to give, and they just are desperate like zombies or ghouls or vampires trying to suck energy off of other people because they have nothing in their system to sustain themselves, right? They're deprived of emotional and spiritual nutrients, and they don't have anything inside themselves where they have some surplus that they can give to other people, right? But the idea here is, the first thing is, like, let's say you're going to approach a marital situation. There's things that you should be able to assess objectively, and you should be able to read a person enough to know, and then through conversations, what you need to do to make them happy, right? And you should find that out, because there's some people you'll never make happy, or you can never contribute to their happiness. You can never really make anybody happy, but you can give them what they need and what they desire and what, makes them, whatever, what's congruent to them, and create, I don't want to say like a safe environment or something, but just something that is conducive to their whatever's going on with them. But for some people, that is like they need to be abused, right? People grew up mistreated and abused and want to feel like a victim. That's what they need. That's what they want to pull out of you, because that's what makes them feel. If you ever heard the NF song, the rap song, Happy, it's how if he felt happy, he would feel incongruent. Happiness is a foreign feeling, and that is for a lot of people. So if they feel happy and you treat them nicely, they will push you away because it is something they don't feel good about. And if they think of themselves as evil or dirty or bad, they want that. They want to be treated like that. And when you treat them nicely, they react in a way where they try to pull the other thing out of you. So you're treating them nicely, and they're trying to provoke you into treating them badly because that's what they're used to, and that's what they think they deserve. There are a lot of people out there that just think they deserve to be treated like shit. They think that they suck. They think they're evil, psychologically, and whatever else there is, right? There's a kid I work with in my first treatment center, and everybody kind of liked this kid. He was, I believe, Puerto Rican. Everyone kind of liked this kid, but he was really dark, like, young kid, like 8 or 9 years old. And I was talking to him about his issues. I don't know if one of the other kids told me, but he was in a house, and his parents were really, irresponsible, bad parents. And he had like 4 siblings, and the house caught on fire. And he had a vague memory of it. And he watched one of his siblings melt. Like, that's what one of his memories was, right? And everybody died but him, all of his siblings. I'm not sure about his parents or not. I'm not, he was in the system. I can't remember about his parents, but I knew at the time. And he had the idea that he caused the fire. And I was talking to him, and I'm like, you were a young kid. You can't be held responsible for this. And even if they gave you, so you found a lighter or a box of matches. I don't even know how he could use a lighter, but, because somehow he felt like he was to blame. And he was like, no, it was my fault. Like, he just wouldn't, like, it was something he wasn't willing to look at and confront, and I don't know if he ever did. But that's, he's going to go the rest of his life blaming himself for the death of his siblings. And, at a very young age, he's just like, what kind of life is he going to have, right? Like, not being able to get away from the guilt and the responsibility, and just horrible thing, right? And so, like, he's basically fucked because, deep down he believes that, even on a conscious level, if he's able to process, well, he wasn't responsible, he's always going to think he deserves bad things. And like, you could see it in his life, right? Like, he was one of the nicer kids there. He had, better, like, empathy and, some of these other things that kids didn't possess. But he had this, burden he was carrying around, and he was never going to be happy, right? Here I pulled the lyrics up of the NF song. It says, living in my agony, watching my self-esteem go up in flames, acting like I don't care what anybody else thinks, when I know truthfully that that's the furthest thing from how I feel, but I'm too proud to open up and ask to pick me up and pull me out of this hole I'm trapped in. The truth is, I need help, but I just can't imagine who I'd be if I was happy. And lots of people feel this way, right? They don't, it's not congruent to them to be happy. And so you can't help a person like that, right? And I don't know what they can do. I mean, on a spiritual level, some scars cleaning. I mean, for me, I went through this cleaning that involved the beginning of the first year of the divorce process and my ostracization from the Sagemark system and just, chaos with my life and my daughter who was acting out, eventually would commit suicide. And I was, my family was collapsing and, all the things that, went with it after 18 years of marriage to somebody who had been, really severely abused by her parents and had been broken and twisted into, somebody who could never be happy because of, only feeling like a victim made her feel congruent. And so all that shit, like it was a horror show, like a horror movie. And it provoked what we call a spiritual cleaning in my system, in my internal system. And they call it that also in Sagemark, the system that I use. The word system meant two things in that context. But I went through this cleaning, I got all these, what we call sittings, things that some of you guys kind of know about, doesn't really matter. And I realized I had a bitterness and anger towards God, which I traced back to a kind of knowable past life of somebody that was like semi-famous in the Indian culture. And when it was done, the cleaning, and like this anger or bitterness I had towards God was removed, I felt like a completely different person. Like I was making more serotonin and, my YouTube channel was taking off at that time and I was getting out of a bad situation. And I've been like just way happier. But people look at my face and they see me and, they don't think it's like, like I don't look like that kind of person and I don't sound it, but I feel like happiness inside now. I feel much better than I used to, right? And I'm a different person, like, going back to what NF said in that song, like the person I would be if I was happy. Well, I was unburdened by what had been, right? I was unburdened by this, past experience. And so, that was a a way that sentence could actually be used and made sense, right? But people could feel the lightness in my system when they listen to the videos because of that. Like there was, there used to be some heaviness and darkness in my system that was gone through the cleaning process of the system that I use, right? But, in all that, when you're dealing with people, like you might really want to help and make somebody happy and give your love to them or whatever in a marital situation or whatever, kids and, whatever your children and all the, things like family or just in general, people, you want to help people in the world. But first of all, you have to realize whether that person is capable of receiving that. Again, you really can't control anybody else's, whatever it is, but a person that has the ability to be happy and, happiness is some people and everybody to some extent is there within a marital relationship and within a family, right? And so, doing what you can to find out what they need from you, what they want, and what would make them happy. And oftentimes you ask the people what that is, and they'll tell you, and you give it to them, especially like women. I mean, I'm not, just in terms of my experience, and you give it to them, and it doesn't make them happy, right? Like they say something's going to make them happy, and maybe on a superficial level they think it is, but they don't even know in their own system, right? And so, when you're dealing with people like that, it's just become some sort of a complex puzzle, right? Like the people who have an understanding of what they really truly need and what they truly want in life. There's people who say, oh, I want this, and then they get it, and they're like, oh, I don't want this, I want this, and then they just, and they never really are satisfied, right? And, the taker element. But then you also have to assess if the person can give back, because if it's a one-sided situation, then they're just going to suck the energy out of you, drain you of your, your prana, your love energy, and they'll take as much as they can and leave you empty and, whatever. That's the nature of modern day life. When times were simpler and people were mostly good for the most part and weren't twisted psychologically and living in a system that's demonic and takes people in the wrong direction and sucks them dry of their positive energy and fills them with twisted psychological behaviors and, abuse and things like this. I mean, it's always been abuse, but, there's like everything else is, you have a system of food that's toxic and often chemical and poisons your system, and medical system that does even worse. And then, people are physically being, just their energy is being drained from them. They're not healthy. They're not living natural lives, disconnected from nature. They don't have two, good married parents, a family situation where they can, have an example set. They have patterns of behavior that they have to break from their dysfunctional families because they don't have a good example of what they should do. They have a good example of what they shouldn't do. And so they don't know how to do what, they don't know how to be in a good relationship, and a family, and a marriage. I mean, that's, our situation, right? And so finding somebody, who's like you too, you have to have some kind of, common ground and common goals, and where you both like to do the same things, right? I mean, it's like it's like winning the fucking lotto, basically, right? I mean, all these things. And then the other people around you are going to try to suck that happiness away from you. They're going to try to, like, misery loves company. And so people with their miserable lives are going to try to, whether they do it intentionally or not, that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to, everyone wants to bring people down to their level of existence. And so that's what you're up against, right? To have a good, happy marriage, never mind, all the other things that are even deeper levels of stuff, right? So, you yourself have to be willing to give bliss to the other people. You have to take an interest in the people in your life, the people that you want to, lift up to whatever extent. And you have to be able to give of yourself and, give love and be vulnerable, open yourself up to, to give, you have to open yourself up and these things. And then you have to find people who are wanting to receive that and who will benefit from that. And that's a rarity because most people are so twisted and, they're so messed up and, they hate themselves or whatever, like I said earlier. And then, you have to see if that person also wants to reciprocate. And so it's, like I said, it's like winning the fucking lottery at this point, right? But, we had a situation, my wife and I, there's a person in our life who has cancer and ignored all the, my wife, trying to tell them all about the, not take the boop and all this stuff, right? And somebody who's just really unlikable and fear-based and just, and kind of has a darkness. But, is using the cancer card to force whatever kind of social situation, even though it's not really going to make her happy because she can't be made happy, right? Like people who are like, in a situation where they feel like, they've been victimized or something, and they're going to try to use that to force people to give them sympathy and affection and, spend their time and energy, even though that's not going to help them because they can't be helped, right? Not in terms of their cancer, not in terms of their emotional state. Because, if you're dying, there's a beauty to it. Older people who are in the dying process and they're just making everybody else feel good around them. They're saying, I'm at peace, and they're connected to, as you get older, you start becoming more and more connected to the energy that's, the soul energy and the etheric energy and the etheric worlds. You're starting to transition over, through the death process. And a spiritual person does that. They radiate that energy, and they're in and out of their material lives and their material bodies, and they're spending more and more time in where their soul is about to go, and they're feeding information back and wisdom and love, and people want to be around them, and there's light energy coming for them, and their love energy coming for them, and people around them are like basking in the glow. I mean, this is how every person should die, and the people around them are like are being lifted up, and they're seeing this process, and they're like, oh, you're giving them a good example of how to die later on for themselves, and you've lived your life, you've lived a good life, and you've become you're now transitioning to your spiritual side, and you're able to give this information and energy back to these people and prop them up, and as you're through your death process, they they feel, I mean, they're sad and they miss you because you've been, you have all this, positivity to give to them, right? And this is why I'm talking about these two selfish pieces of shit leaders that we have, right? Because, this is part of that. Trump should be in this phase, and he's looking for material validation and, lying and manipulating and bullshitting people, and, so he can take more, right? When you should be in a state of giving. But if you're in that state, you have no problem with people being around you, because everyone wants to be around you, right? Like you're like a saintly person. You're dying in a spiritual way, and you're just giving. Like you're not manipulating them and playing on their sympathies and expecting to be served and to make them adhere to your demands and whatever it is, your manipulations, and you're forcing them to spend time with you, and they're miserable because you're a miserable piece of shit. Doesn't matter whether you're dying or not. You've lived a bad life, and now you're dying in fear. And I watched my dad go out this way. He just couldn't come to terms with his death and his life, but he was an unlikable person. Like none of us kids want to be around him, right? Like he had nothing to offer. Like he's just a little kid, like a child who's lived a shitty life, and now he's scared of dying, right? And just no sense of like, it was the wrong way to go out. Like it was like embarrassing, it's just, it's pathetic to be that way, right? You've had a failure life, and now you've done nothing in your life, and, people don't love you. You don't love them. You don't have anybody around you. No one wants to, you don't have anything to offer them. I mean, you've lived your whole life. You have nothing to offer your kids, right? In terms of wisdom, in terms of, some sort of, just set an example. You're just going out like pathetically, in a fear-based state, right? Being propped up by, medical interventions when your body's long since should have given out, and you're just not able to cross over to the other side. And, that's a horrible way to die, right? You've lived a horrible life, and now you have a horrible death, right? And that's the, reason why people who connect to God internally and start developing a spiritual side, like a real relationship with God, not some bullshit religious thing, but a real internal relationship with God. And then it helps you process your own death. Ultimately, that's what all of us are, we're graduating from earth, so to speak. Our life, our life is over. This is our turn, like in a video game, our turn is over, and now we're going to somewhere else, right? And, it's a great thing, not a bad thing. And so processing that and dealing with that, accepting that and being grateful for that, and making it easier on the people around you, not becoming a burden, because of your weakness and your, inability to be a good person, and just people having to do it as some sense of family obligation, instead of you being like a kind of person that draws people to you because of your, your spiritual success and your success as a person, and your willingness to give, and what you have to offer other people. That you have no problem with people are craving to be around you, right? They, their hearts are pulled to you because you're that kind of person. And these people that you see in the media and celebrities, they're the opposite of that. And most of the people in your life, very few people have a person in their life, have seen somebody die like that just is giving to their very last breath and thinking of others and setting a good example and, benefiting others, where people are benefited from your system, right? And so, like the first part, giving bliss, making somebody happy. And that, very few people are able to do that. And then on a spiritual level, like what you would be as a spiritual master, as someone like a saint, where you would give to people what they need to evolve spiritually, was what God gives to you. Even if it's stuff that people don't want to see or hear, even if it's like what people call tough love, but giving people exactly what they need to move forward, and that's even more rare. Like, just making somebody happy. I mean, that's so easy should be so easy. And very few people are willing to even try that, right? Without some sort of, there always should be reciprocation, but not looking for reciprocation, right? For it to be balanced, both people have to be doing that. And, how many people that? How many marital couples, how many, people are like that in your life? And then someone even beyond that who's looking not only to make somebody happy, but more importantly, give them what they need to be successful in their life spiritually. And oftentimes that's bad stuff or things that people don't want, that they need to go through to become the kind of spiritual people that they can be. And so, this is the example on election day, right? Like this is, think about a world or society like that. And that's why we're fucked. Because people aren't like that, right? Like people are, just self-serving and egotistical, and it's all about materialism and material validation and superficial bullshit. And there's no authenticity. There's no connection to the self, the soul within. There's no sacrifice for the greater good. There's just a bunch of still selfish people, bankrupt people, trying to feed off of other bankrupt people. There's no real energy, prana, no love energy there for them. And just desperate people who are been zombified, desperate ghouls out there that are trying to, get a meal for themselves of, whatever kind of energy in a world that doesn't have the energy that they truly need, right? A loveless world. So that's why this election is pointless, because, all of the above, right? Like there's, we can't be saved because, good people people who are living in a certain way on a higher level of consciousness create a better society. But depraved, self-centered, entitled, weak, unnatural people, they create a society like we have now. And so, people want to be told, well, it's Kamala Harris's fault and the deep state's fault. If we get rid of them, life will be good. And that's all you have to do, and that's not true, right? All you have to do is accept our religion, you're going to heaven. No, that's not true either. Like they want to be told things they want to be promised things from Trump or Kamala, whatever it is. Oh, we'll take over, get rid of Trump, and everything will be great. That's not true either, right? They want to be told things. They don't want to be told they have to change because they don't want to change. And why wouldn't they want to change? Like you look at most people in the world and you go, why the fuck wouldn't you want to change? Like look in the fucking mirror and why the fuck wouldn't you want to change, right? Like why would you think what you are right now is okay? Like why in the world would you think that this is okay, that you've done a good job? Like why would you think that? Like why would that even be something that would cross your mind, that there's nothing that you could do to become a better person? Like why would that be a difficult thing for you to comprehend? That you think you're all set, like you think you're done, that you're perfect, like everything that you've become, a miserable piece of shit that deep down you suck or whatever, and like there's no part of you that thinks that you could or should change, right? It's easy to see it in other people, but how many people are wanting to look at themselves and say, oh my God, look at all the things I got to do better, and would be completely overwhelmed if they realized what they have to become from what they are now. And so that's why this system has to go and people have to suffer. It came out supper, but it meant suffer. And that's why this is going to go the way it goes. All right, let's get into the other stuff. I have something to add to this story. I just went on a walk with my dogs. Took a nap. It's a daylight savings time day. And so this person, I'll tell more of the story later. Some future date. But this person who's a doctor, she got the rooster and got basically turbo cancer. Four or five parts of her body have cancer. But on top of that, went to the medical community, started getting treatments, right? And the medical facility botched the treatments to where she had like other issues, like really painful issues, stuff to do with her kidneys and overhydrated, or like just multiple things, like 4 or 5 different things where they completely fucked up. And she still keeps on going back, right? And relying on the failed treatments. Like the treatments themselves are having a negative effect, and also they have made mistakes. There's the third largest killer of people is medical errors. doctors and medical facilities make errors all the time. Not only that kill people, but hurt people. Make people suffer even more. And so, I mean, this is the type of medicine we have. And even with all that information, won't even confront that maybe, because using the medical model, the allopathic medical model, has led to this, disastrous terminal type situation, right? My wife also has a doctor friend who very enthusiastically was saying she wanted to get the booster. And then right after getting it, she fell apart. And not cancerous, but other things. And the same situation, not realizing, oh, the medical community fucked me, right? Like maybe it could be this. Like when you're given something and it makes your situation worse, and not worse to make it better, but just worse, right? At some point, you might not be able to reverse your situation, but you realize the medical system isn't helping you. Like sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. In some rare cases it does, but usually there are side effects. But if it isn't, then, you have to take a look at that, right? Everyone's situation is different, but at least be open to the possibility that, what you're receiving is making your situation worse. And if you are in a state of dying and you can't change that, well, then why go out poisoning yourself? That isn't going to give you the results that you want, right? It's that you're just making your last days more miserable. And again, everyone has to make their own choices, but you have to be open to all things like that. There's times I'll use the allopathic medical model, and I've had, good results. Like sometimes I have to go on antibiotics. Sometimes, I need to get stitches in the hospital or something. There's times that the allopathic model has worked for me. Other times it hasn't. And sometimes it's a little kind of mixture of both. But for the most part, it doesn't work for me. But if I have to use it, I would have to use it, right? But, only in a state of like looking at the bigger picture, and, death is there for all of us. And so I don't want to go out in some, unnatural way. When I had COVID, I was really struggling to breathe. Like I had moments. Some days, like the day were fine, the nights were horrible. Wake up gasping for air. It might have been a heart-related thing. I had this sort of pain, and like something was caught in my chest, like in my, my esophagus, like right, near my heart. I don't know what was happening, right? But I knew that people were going to the hospital, and 9 out of 10 of them were dying on respirators, and I'm like, I'm not doing that, right? Like, if I might as well die at home, right? Like, hospitals are where people go to die miserably, like it's just horrible places. Now, I'm not saying that for other people. I'm not recommending that. I'm saying that for me. Like, I wouldn't, unless there was something like they could do to actually help. And they might say they are, and they really don't, right? They talk about like they can help you, but they don't, or they can't. And so, if I'm in that kind of situation, I'm like, I'm not going to the hospital, no matter how much, how difficult it is for me to breathe. It's an unpleasant thing, not being able to breathe. But, I got through it, and now I'm healthier than ever by investing in preventative medicine, and I'm doing all kinds of different things I'm like, my health is, it's like I turned the clock back like 10 or 15 years. I'm in better shape. I'm more athletic. I'm exercising better. Everything's functioning better. And like I've turned back the clock, which is great. I've invested in my nutrition and my, and exercise and just a lot of different things, right? Going back to the main point, people are dying when they get into the death process. It's if it's caused by their own bad decisions and a fear-based and just wrong living. Like lots of people are just living in the wrong way. The foods they eat and the medicines they take and the attitudes and the thoughts they have. And it creates, an end result at the end of your life. I mean, it's been fucking you over your whole life and leaving you miserable and alone and, disconnected and just, making the wrong decision. And then you're faced with this inevitable thing, your death, and you don't know what the fuck to do because you haven't prepared yourself for this in any real way. And you approach it being fearful. That's like I said, I saw this with my dad, a sense of, it's like this horrible thing that's going to happen to you. And you're not, I mean, you might say you believe in God, but you've done nothing to cultivate any relationship with the spiritual side of yourself, so you really don't know. Like you know, it's just a mental thought, and so deep down you kind of doubt that there's anything else, and you know you're facing the nothingness, and you don't have a support system around you that loves you and cares about you. You know, they might do it out of obligation, but you know it's your choices. Like these are what happens to people. Like I'm talking about the election, I'm talking about people in general. You've made bad choices your whole life, and you haven't evolved and become somebody who has something to offer, not only yourself, but you know, the world and your relatives and your loved ones, but also God. You're contributing to the, you know, to making the world a better place. And when you're in that kind of situation, then your death is a lot different, and the people feel about you in a different sort of a way. And you know, there's energy, a free flow of energy, that you're not bankrupt and needy because you're connected to the divine source and you have God's love, you know, transmitting through you, all these things. And, you know, as opposed to all the fucking ghouls and vultures and, you know, and vultures are great. Like they serve a purpose. You know, vultures and possums and these things. But anyways, let's get into it. So Morning Joe, Monday, November 4th. Going to show you the early voting in a bit because that's very telling. They're giving limited information on it, but it's enough to show that it seems like Trump is doing better, and well, I'll show you that in a second. So this is Morning Joe.
8 members from the cast of the award-winning television show The West Wing are endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris in a new ad made in...
Wait a minute. Kamala Harris has The West Wing? Actors, you know, has-been actors, B-rate level actors from the you know, the long canceled show of The West Wing. She's got them? Oh shit, I'm going to go vote for her. I didn't know that she got The West Wing. Holy shit, the West Wing is endorsing her.
Partnership with the Lincoln Project.
The Lincoln Project? Wow, that's, I mean, this marriage made in heaven.
Take a look.
The right kind of president reminds us that honor and dignity aren't relics of the past, but the foundation of our future.
They know that while their time here is fleeting, their service can build a stronger America for generations to come.
Boom. I mean, just what a moving message.
The woman who will soon sit behind this desk.
Oh my God, they're already saying she's already going to be there.
Will be the first in many ways.
The first person who really didn't receive any votes, and then they stole the election.
Lead America to a new era, a proud era.
A future where we will build
as one nation. A time of opportunity and...
Wait, the guy only got like one line. He got one nation. That one dude got like one line.
Prosperity for every American, every family. Her name is Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris.
And she will be our next president.
Wow.
Oh, that was horrible. Look at these guys. Mika, she's gone away from her bouffant. He's still rocking the Gumby-Doo. This married couple, this power couple here. These shills, these spin artists. What do you got?
Let's bring in longtime political strategist and consultant Rick Wilson. He is
oh my God, they got Rick Wilson there.
Co-founder and board member of the Lincoln Project.
He's the Lincoln Project guy.
And John Heilman, I'll give you the first question for Rick.
And also, I believe the author of that ad, or the author of the script of that ad, according, I'm like Donald Trump, a little bird told me. There are two obvious questions, one of which is, this thing, I understand from my little bird, this thing came together real quick.
Yes.
And
like, wait, dude, that wasn't years in the making? That kind of a fucking masterpiece? You just slopped it together? Well, it's incredible.
I think the biggest question watching it is, beautiful ad. We don't get to see any of their faces. I think maybe those two things are connected.
You know, the West Wing was such a cultural icon for a generation of political people and a generation of Americans. And it did remind people all the time, even though it was fiction, it was a fiction of a White House people wanted. They wanted the honor and dignity.
They wanted that stuff, but it doesn't exist because it was just fake as fuck.
wanted the sense of service. They wanted the idea that people in that sacred space were there for the American people and not for their own financial gain or their personal aggrandizement.
All right. Okay. So there's that thing. They got Kamala Harris got the West Wing. Cast of the West Wing. Okay, I just sat through this ad. I have to remember all the jokes, and there's lots of them. You know, Trump copyrighted me. Look at this creepy MNFer. Look at him creeping behind the flag. Total creep. Total peeping Tom. Look at the creeper. So they copyrighted me on one of their videos, which is just so stupid. One of their promotional videos. Trump did. And so I don't know why. It makes no sense. But hopefully they won't do that with these because, you know, they have to be used here. Unless it was some third-party person, that sometimes happens, but whatever. Because this ad's actually kind of epic. This is Trump's closing ad. I showed you Kamala's closing ad earlier.
Nothing worth doing ever came easy.
Yeah, you're saying that like you're asking people to change. Like a good leader would say, you guys got to fucking change, right? You guys have changed. I mean, you guys, you know, it's time for you guys to change. And like make epic changes in your perception and all these things, which is what we would need to do. We would all have to change drastically and manifest a completely different system. It would take everybody, right? But what he's saying is you just got to go vote. Like these are just words. Nothing, you know, nothing came easily. Well, voting is pretty easy. And he's saying that you just vote for him and he's going to take care of the rest because he just promises the fucking world and he can't deliver, right? He can't deliver any of these things. It's out of his hand. Even if he wanted to, he couldn't. Like, they just can't be done, right?
The word impossible as nothing more than motivation.
Okay, so the word impossible is pretty firm. It's not like there's some wiggle room. If something's impossible, it's impossible. If somebody says something's impossible and you do it, it was never impossible. If you do something, it wasn't impossible. It's somebody using the word wrongly. Right? But, you know, we're not fixing the system. It's impossible.
Never, ever quit. Never
Don't quit. Just
Adversity makes you stronger.
Adversity makes you stronger. I mean, it's just all these bumper stickers. He doesn't believe any of these things, really, right? What about when you, like I showed you in my last video, the guy couldn't, they had a microphone that didn't work, and the guy had a temper tantrum. He couldn't even get a working mic up there. And he whined, and he cried 5 minutes he did on the thing, moaning, all I asked for is a working mic. Like all this stuff, right? So these are just words, right? None of these things mean anything because he's not saying them in a sincere way.
Don't give in, don't back down, and never stop doing what you know is right.
Exactly, all these things. They're just words. Like if any of these things meant anything, you wouldn't die, right? You say, oh, it's impossible to live forever. I'm going to prove them wrong. Well, no, because some things are just meant to go the way they are going to go. And the collapse of the American system is one of them. When it's time for it to collapse, it's going to collapse.
They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom.
Oh, there you go. That's how simple it is, right?
Coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way.
No, they're coming after you, bro. For a variety of reasons. Boom, look at that guy. Look at this guy. All right, back to here. Boom, that guy. Let's go back a second here. Yeah. Look at that guy. Look at this powerhouse.
When they couldn't beat him, they tried to bankrupt him.
Boom, tried to bankrupt him. You know what? He did that 6 times on his own, so fuck them.
Trump is back in a New York City courtroom.
When that didn't work, they tried to put him in federal prison.
Raided
Boom.
the FBI.
That didn't work. The Supreme Court said, fuck you, he can do whatever he wants.
That didn't work, they even tried to kill him.
Boom. Yeah, with ketchup and fake bullets. And
They just tried to kill President Trump.
Donald Trump still stands, ready to fight, ready to
with that ketchup on his face.
win, and ready to make America great again. This is Donald.
See, look, you guys remember when the shooting first happened, the fake shooting. And me and my wife were like, heard about it, but we didn't know it was like a real thing. we thought there was just somebody take a shot at a Trump rally. And then I watched it. I went, oh my God, it's WWE. And my wife watched it. She was like, no, it looks like, I mean, it's really blood. I'm like, no, it's like World Wrestling Entertainment, right? It's WWE. I had no idea that the guy had a relationship with Vince McMahon and he had been in some of the events. I knew nothing about that. And I said that. You guys can go back to the first video. And then a couple of days later, this guy comes out and people start sending me videos of Trump slapping Vince McMahon. And I'm like, of course it is. It's like they totally WWE. And they just showed you that. They showed you, like, psychologically, and people who just don't have the ability to realize it's fake. They showed you that the fake blood. And then they bring this guy out to cement into your mind that this is, all the WWE training you have, right? Without, like, they're telling you the truth without telling you the truth. That was fake as fuck, and it was totally WWE. It was, like, sloppily done. Low production values. And you still fell for it.
Donald Trump's house, brother. This election, we all get to choose. I'm going to choose real American leadership and a real American.
This guy, right? And again, the promoter, this guy he followed Hulk Hogan. He introduced Trump, and this is, after Kid Rock, and the whole thing was just disgusting, right?
The 45th and soon to be 47th President Donald J. Trump.
Boom. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, they just went for it. I appreciate how much they went for it here. Like, they just fucking went for it, like the whole enchilada.
Defeat inflation.
Boom. Day one, inflation, check, gone. Your grocery prices will go back to, you'll be able to get things for like a penny. You get things for a dime, inflation, completely gone. We'll go back to where the value of the dollar will be when it was originally printed years and years ago. You'll be able to get gas for 10 cents a gallon. I mean, it's gone. Inflation, boom. Day one, check.
And we will make America affordable again.
Affordable again, two. The same kind of thing, but check.
Your energy costs in half. It's time for the
exactly energy costs in half. Boom, day one.
Working man and woman to finally catch a break.
You'll catch a break on day one.
To bring back the American dream, bigger, better, and stronger.
American dream, day one, easily day one.
Stronger than ever before. When I'm back in the White House, we will restore world peace.
World peace, day one, probably day two for world peace. Might take a couple of days for world peace, maybe day three at most. But certainly, within the first 3 days.
And it will be, again, peace through strength.
Boom.
I will launch the largest deportation program in American history.
We're just going to take all those illegal immigrants, get them on a plane, and parachute them out into other countries.
And we'll put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of our country.
Or both. We'll put them in jail first and kick them the hell out of our country. We'll drop them off in Iran or I don't know, the West Bank, Gaza Strip. I don't know where. We'll just drop them somewhere in Russia, China. We'll just, take them out and drop them in some other country because they are criminals. Some other country will take them, but not us. We'll just...
November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. We all salute.
You all get liberated spiritually. You won't have to be born again on earth. I'm going to do it all. Day one's going to be a big day. It's almost like, it's all 7 days of when God created the earth in 7 days, according to the Old Testament. It'll be kind of like that, but it'll be me doing it, so I'll do it faster and better than God.
The same great American flag.
That flag's the best flag ever in this bitch right here.
Best days are yet to come. Together, we will make America great again.
Boom! Trump and Vance. They went for it. I got to give them that. I mean, they didn't hold back here. Okay, so early voting period, nearly 75 million votes have been cast. So that's about half the people have voted early voting. So really, they already know who won the election, right? I mean, they're not going to say it, but they could easily say it because half the votes. And so if they're saying Trump got, 70 million last time, Biden got close to 80 million, is that what they were saying last time? And so 75 million represents half the votes. And so this is interesting here. This shows you what percentage of each candidate has voted. And so this is bad for Kamala Harris. And it's gonna sound like I'm for Trump. And I'm not. It's just I think the Democrats are going to cheat. So like Trump couldn't cheat. Like when Trump was racing against Hillary Clinton, the Republican Party was against him, and Trump didn't know what the fuck he was doing, and he didn't have really a good political team. He put together a political team of, Washington insiders, but he didn't have a ground game, and he didn't have the ability to influence the elections, right? As president, he might have been able to do it, but clearly he didn't know what he was doing then either, and the Democrats did. And they worked him on COVID. They got the things to paper ballots, mail-in ballots, and then, whatever happened there happened there. And I can believe both scenarios because there's so much Trump hatred. I can believe that Biden won legitimately, but I also can believe that they cheated. Like both things are possible. But this looks bad. So in Arizona, she's getting 3% less of the Democratic vote than Biden, right? Now, this isn't showing how much votes she has. These are registered Democrats. So of the registered Democrats, right, these are the unknown votes. And so this makes up most of these are other unknown votes makes up almost a third of the total vote count, right? But Trump didn't ask for, he told people not to vote early last time, which I don't know why the fuck he would have done that. But, strategically that doesn't make sense. But he's getting more votes than he got the last time. And again, he told them not to vote for him. But Kamala Harris is getting less votes in terms of registered Democrats than Joe Biden did. Of course, it's not COVID either, and yet she's underperforming. But here's the part that should scare Kamala Harris, and these are only 4 states. I wish they did this with all the states because you could check, because Trump still has, in some cases, more of a percentage of votes. Like Kamala Harris has 56% of the Democrats, so nearly half of the registered Democrats in Pennsylvania have already voted for her, and only 33% of the registered Republicans. So Trump has another 23% of the registered Republicans, and you can see here that he is losing in Pennsylvania. Kamala Harris has 57% of the vote. Trump has 33% of the vote. But that's almost half of her vote. That's well over half of her vote, right? And 5% more than half of her vote. And so it looks like Trump's losing Pennsylvania according to the tally of early votes, but he has a lot more ground to make up because he has more potential votes out there, right? And so I think that he's actually winning in Pennsylvania, which is one of the big states. Of course, he's winning in Florida. He has 44% of the vote already. In Georgia, he's winning in Georgia. And it doesn't say how much of the percentage of vote is out there. I wish that CNN showed all of these different states, right? And I'll see if I can find it somewhere else. Let me do that now. Okay, so I couldn't find Georgia. Let's look at this North Carolina. So in North Carolina, she's down 3 percentage points from what Joe Biden got, right? And Trump is up 2 percentage points. But he has 33% of his vote. She has 32% of her vote. And Republicans are winning by about the same amount, right? By about 1 percentage point. And so, if you look at state by state, this is Democrats are winning by 3 points in Michigan, but of all these states here, the Nevada, Pennsylvania, Arizona, like Nevada would probably be a better one to look at here. So Trump has 37% of his vote. She has 34% of her vote. And in Nevada, and he's winning by 4 percentage points. So he's outperforming her by like 1 percentage point of the vote. And that's by party registration, right? So these are people who voted percentage by party registration. And so in reality, they don't know who these people voted for. They have 28% as other. And so, they've counted some of these votes, right? We know that election night, they have already figured out who's won those states. in most cases. Like before they've counted all the votes, because the votes are just basically polls. And after they get a sense of it, they can call a state for one person or another, even though they haven't counted all the votes, right? We've seen that before because it's just one giant poll. And after you get a certain number of votes in from various places and counties, you can see that they're outperforming or underperforming in these, battleground counties and things, the ones that kind of decide the election. And they can tell by the exit polls as well who won. And so they used to be able to call these states earlier, but then, the cheating kicked in and all these things, right? But they have enough data now because they have a large percentage of the early votes. They kind of know who's going to win. I mean, the camps do, the candidates do. And so unless there's some sort of voter rigging that's going to happen afterwards, but again, there's not as many mail-in ballots. These ballots, they'll be able to count the ballots faster because there's more early voting than there was before. And all these early voting, because there's no, COVID rules, right? There's no like an influx of paper ballots, mail-in ballots that have to be gathered and counted after the election's already won or lost, right? I mean, that's what Trump was whining about last time. And so it looks like Trump is ahead based on what they're saying here. And again, they won't say it. Like, that's what sucks about the media. But they should break it down in a way and show you, okay, we now know that this many registered Republicans voted, this many registered Democrats voted, this many other, and then give the results of the state. Because these are all based in, this says, these are percentage of registered Republicans, percentage of registered Democrats, and 7% other. And so, but in Nevada, there's quite a number of independents, 28% other, right? And so they should count the votes. They should tell you, well, they have counted them already. They're in the counting process. And because this has gone on for some period of time, and just release the results, they think it's going to affect the way people vote and turn out, so they're not going to do that. And also, they can cheat better if they don't do that, right? So, again, the way the campaigns were heading towards the end, it seemed like Kamala Harris was more desperate, but Trump has got a little goofy himself, I don't know. And, he just was being Trump. But it looks like, as far as I can see, see here, this is the majority of the votes early votes are Democrat, and some are Republican. And that doesn't really matter because, it's what percentage are. But Democrats were on pace to do more early voting, and they're pushing for more early voting from Democrats because they could see how many votes they have to make up to change the outcome. But in Wisconsin and there's 40% other. So Wisconsin has all these independent people there. And the Democrats are winning, but, again, they have more turnout than the Republicans, and we don't know what the other people are voting for. It'd be good if they just said, all right, this is the ballots, but I can't find that anywhere, right? But anyways, I think that they're trending towards Trump winning. All this stuff indicates that, right? Because Trump's getting more early vote than he did before, and he's doing better in terms of the Republican turnout than they did before. And Kamala Harris is doing worse than Joe Biden did. Okay, so this is the best video ad. I forgot about this. This is why I was going to lead with this one. But I'll put it towards the end of the video. All this stuff is funny and great anyway, in terms of just how icky it is, right? He Ain't Me, Harris Walsh. This is from Kamala Harris's official YouTube channel. YouTube recommended this to me personally.
I've had Steelers season tickets since I'm 7 years old, man.
Boom. Man, I'm a Steelers fan since I was 7 years old. Check out the necklace I got from my best friend Bob at camp. It's my bestie. There's that guy right there, Bill Cowher, right?
Yeah. Me and my dad, that's our thing.
That's our thing. We like Steeler tickets and Steelers. We're Steelers fans.
I was a 7-year-old with a little mullet, just like a
little mullet
Pittsburgher should have, with a Cordell Stewart jersey on, sitting at Three River Stadium watching in 1995. A Yinzer
Yinzer.
Yinzer.
He's a Yinzer. You know who else is a Yinzer? Fetterman. Great Fetterman comment I'm going to read at the end. I just put out the video today about Fetterman. But he's a Yinzer. That's a name of a certain type of person in Pennsylvania. You know, everyone's got their weird ass shit, right? I mean, most people hate where they live. Like it's, like Gwen Wall's whining about snow if you live in Minnesota. Like some people love winter. Winter's their favorite season. Some people love skiing. Some people just, in some places like in Europe, like Finland and Switzerland, the snow actually adds light. So they get so much snow, and the snow's reflecting the sunlight, and even at night you go outside and it's still pretty bright because of the light from the moon or whatever reflecting off the snow, right? So they don't suffer the same kind of light deprivation, and it's a winter wonderland. And even though it's snow and it's cold, it's a dry cold. So there's places where winter is actually bearable. It's my least favorite season, but there's things I like about winter, right? But lots of people live in places they don't like. They haven't really traveled, and they stay there because it's familiar to them, even though they don't like their family, they don't like their job, and they find some bullshit thing like calling themselves a Yinzer, or go to Steelers games to make it through their otherwise miserable existence, right? This guy's probably just an actor, though.
I define it as somebody that bleeds black and gold, works hard, cares about their family and their hometown.
That's a Yinzer. They care about all those things. They bleed black and gold. When they cut themselves, it comes out Steelers colors. A terrible towel comes out of their veins.
Donald Trump does not care about the working man whatsoever.
Donald Trump don't care about the working man. Not whatsoevers.
Guy's not looking out for my family.
I mean, this guy, he doesn't care that we have to go out and bust up a pallet.
Whatsoever. This guy's not looking out
and then burn it for heat, right? Donald Trump doesn't do shit like that. Donald Trump doesn't know about burning pallets and Yinzers.
My family. Talking about giving tax breaks to billionaires?
Exactly. That stuff. He's no Yinzer. Donald Trump's not a Yinzer. He giving tax breaks to billionaires.
And he's going to sell out working families to pay for it.
Exactly. He's going to sell you out. Take your money and give it to billionaires, because that's how the tax system works, even though 60% of the tax revenue is generated by millionaires and above, right? Because that's how it actually works, where the majority of the money, and even with that money, it doesn't matter because they're just printing shit and causing inflation, right?
Cut our health care. Cut our Social Security. He's a little rich kid, too. He ain't me. Little silver spoon boy Donald Trump.
Little silver spoon boy Donald Trump. He's no Yinzer. And I agree with basically what he's saying. I've said the same thing. I think I called him Little Lord Fauntleroy and a silver spoon boy the other day. The difference is Kamala Harris is just as bad, right? I mean, differently bad, but just as bad. And she's not any of this. Kamala Harris isn't a Yinzer either. You think Kamala Harris is a Yinzer, right? So yeah, Donald Trump's a piece of shit, but so is Kamala Harris. So why are you even talking to us? Go back to your Steelers.
Trump, how is he relatable to me whatsoever? The guy literally lives in a country club. Do I look like a country club kind of guy?
No, you're a Yinzer.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Exactly. But what kind of person is Kamala Harris? Is she like you? Is she a Steeler fan? You don't even know who she is because they've created a fake persona, and they won't let her be herself, right? Okay, so I got 3 more great ads. I just ate lunch. 2 of them were back-to-back. This one, the one I'm going to show you next, is a Trump ad. And then Harrison Ford ad was recommended to me by YouTube endorsing Kamala Harris. Haven't seen that one yet, right? Notice in that Yinzer ad that it didn't say anything about Kamala Harris. It's just saying, it's targeting people in Pennsylvania. It's just saying Trump's a piece of shit. We're not endorsing Kamala. Just don't vote for him, right? But anyways, this is Jardiance.
I have type 2 diabetes, but I manage it well. It's a little pill with a big story to tell.
Boom. It's a little bill with a big story to tell. She's working at her cubicle here, and she's going to bust into a song and dance because that's exactly what you want to see when you have type 2 diabetes.
I take once daily Jardians.
Boom! Look at her go. Look at him go.
Each day starts. As time went on, it was easy to see.
Boom! Look at her go. She's got all the moves.
I'm lowering my A1C.
She's lowering her A1C. Look at that Jardian smile. She's got the smile of Jardians there.
Jardians works 24/7 in your body to flush out some sugar. And for adults with type 2
Look at her go.
diabetes
Look at she's all dancing.
and known heart disease, Jardians can lower the risk of
Got the
cardiovascular
thing.
death.
Got the moves.
Serious side effects may include ketoacidosis.
Oh, look, here
that
we
may
go.
be
Here's,
fatal.
let's bring in some sugar-fueled meals for these people with their type 2 diabetes. Everyone go back to work. This dance time is over. This guy's on the phone, but he's digging it. He's gonna come into play in a little bit. This bro right here.
Dehydration that can lead to sudden worsening of kidney function and genital yeast or urinary tract
Okay, let's go back to the side effects. I missed that. You're right here.
Serious side effects may include
May include nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, tiredness, trouble breathing, and ketones in your urine or blood. I don't want any ketones in my urine or blood. Like that's keto diet, like ketones. Your body makes those ketones, right?
ketoacidosis that may be fatal. Dehydration that can lead to
Wait, something acido?
serious side effects may include ketoacidosis that may be fatal. Dehydration
Ketoacidosis, which may be fatal. So you could die from this.
that can lead to sudden worsening of kidney function and genital
Dehydration.
yeast or urinary tract infections.
Genital yeast or urinary tract infections you can get from this. The perineum is the area between the anus and the genitals. Symptoms of infection include fever, feeling weak or tired, pain, tiredness, swelling, or redness of the genitals in the area around them. I didn't even know that was there. I just saw this quickly. But before that, dehydration, standing, genital yeast infection can occur in men and women. That's the perineum thing. Dehydration, all those things. And so you have that part. So here they got, they're going to watch these guys.
Hydration that can lead to sudden worsening of kidney function.
She gets their
Genital
lunch and
yeast or
she gives it
urinary
to
tract
them.
Infections.
Wait,
A rare
well, I
life-threatening
got the wrong
bacterial
lunch.
infection in the
Let's
skin of the
switch.
perineum could occur.
It's like you're
Stop
playing a shell
Jardians and
game, right? With this shit down here.
Call your doctor right away.
Like a distraction so you don't read the thing. Watch this rocket science. All right, he's
You have
trying to
symptoms
make
of this
copies.
infection,
What's going on here? Hey, wait. Something going on here. Allergic reaction include rash, swelling, and difficulty breathing or swallowing. They're lusting all these things while they're doing all this other stuff here, right?
Acidosis or an allergic reaction.
Boom. Hey, what's this guy? Oh, I don't know what's going on. Wait a minute. This thing has to be plugged in. You have to plug this motherfucker in.
Have increased risk for lower limb loss. Call your
Oh,
doctor right.
it needs electricity to work. I don't know. I'm just in an office. You know, my perineum is swollen. I got problems with my perineum. I don't know. I can't be plugging stuff in all day.
Away if you have symptoms of infection in your legs or feet. Taking Jardians with a sulfonylurea
Look at it going. Okay, let's go back to the dance moves. We're in the elevator.
Insulin
Let's
may
get our
cause
heads
low blood
working.
sugar.
Swell. She's got a big story to tell. Swollen perineums and things like that for Lily. And so that's a 5-star commercial right there. So this is funded by the Republican Jewish Committee Victory Fund. And this might be the best ad of the political season.
Did you watch the news lately? Israel's under attack, anti-Semitism like I never thought I would see.
Never thought I would see that level of anti-Semitism.
What about Samantha's boy, Max? No.
Max, what's up with Max?
Oh, he got spit on just walking at Penn. I mean,
No way. He got spit on? This must be going to Pennsylvania.
Scary. What about Kamala?
Oh, busy defending the squad.
Oy vey.
Oy vey. This would be considered sort of stereotypical anti-Semitic behavior. I guess it's being put out by Jewish people, Republicans, that is. Oy vey, the Kamala defending the squad. That's why that's great. That's the best part there.
That's scary. What about Kamala?
Oh, busy defending the squad.
Oy vey. You know, Trump I never cared for,
Didn't care for that Trump.
but at least he'll keep us safe.
He'll keep us safe.
I never voted Republican in my life, but I am voting Trump.
Amen. RJC Victory Fund.
Trump will keep us safe. They're eating at some diner or deli someplace. Definitely 5 stars.
It's responsible for the content of this.
The RGC Victory Fund. Wonderful.
I'm Harrison Ford.
Hey, Harrison.
Doing something I never thought I'd do.
Do a good job acting in a quality movie and not ham it up and be annoying.
Telling people I've never met who I'm voting for and why I think they might do the same.
Okay, so in a very long and drawn-out political season with ups and downs and the amount of information that's available on the internet, I somehow can't seem to make a decision on who the fuck to vote for. And so, you know what would help me decide? If Harrison Ford told me who he was voting for. And I can finally make a fucking decision here. Who is it, Harrison?
This election, I'm casting my ballot for Kamala Harris.
Oh, Kamala. Why? I thought she was always defending the squad.
And Tim Walz.
Tim Walz, too? Both of them? You know, his wife Gwen makes excellent ginger snaps.
Do I agree with every one of their policies? Of
no,
course.
not at all.
Do I think they're perfect? Come on, for crying out loud, they're people just like you and me.
They're just people, just like you and me.
But these two people,
these couple of folks,
believe in the rule of law.
They do, because you know why? They told me so. I just saw it on the convention. They said it. We believe in the rule of law.
They believe in science.
Science they believe in. You know why? Because they told me.
They believe that when you govern, you do so for all Americans.
All Americans. They said all these things, and I believed every one of them said, because, you know, they're people, and people don't lie.
They believe that we are in this together.
Together, we're in this thing. Together. We're doing this together, where Trump thinks we're all individuals.
These are ideas I believe in.
I believe in, too, and you know why you know? Because I just said it. Because I've said, and you know, I've said lots of things that they've paid me to say, and all of them are true, because I never lie, I never act. I just say true things. I'm not an actor who gets paid to say stuff. I'm not getting a dime for this thing. I'm not acting right now. I'm actually telling you the truth, just like they weren't acting and lying when they said all these things that I just said. We're all just truth tellers, not like that other guy.
These are people I can get behind.
I get behind them. Especially Tim Walz. He actually asked me to do so. He asked me to put on a Brad Pitt mask and get behind him.
Look, I'm frustrated about a lot of things in this country.
Exactly. I'm just frustrated in general.
Here you are, too. But the other guy, he spent 4 years turning us against each other.
For 4 years he turned against each other. Not like these guys. It's not like the media demonized this guy and demonized the people who voted for him and made them feel like they were less than for 4 years. And it wasn't like the Democrats did the same thing. It was all him. He's the only one who was divisive. The Democrats are not divisive at all. You know why? They told me so.
While embracing dictators and tyrants.
Tyrants and dictators. I saw it on the news. Like the good news, like the real news, like CNN and MSNBC.
Around the world. That's not who we are.
We're not. We don't embrace dictators.
We don't need to make America great again.
We don't need to make America great again. Who said that we would need to do that? Who would suggest such an idea?
Come on.
Come on.
We are great.
We're great right now. We're wonderful, great. Even though I'm upset about a lot of things that are going on, and we got a guy who's dividing everything, and, you know, he embraces dictators. We're great right now. We're wonderful. We're the greatest country in the world. We're great.
What we need is to work together again.
Exactly, and that would be great, too, if we could all work together again, because we're not doing that right now.
What we need is a president who works for all of us.
All of us. You know, I said that. You know why I said that? Because that's her tagline. She says that all the time, and she's got commercials where she says that. Boom, a new way forward. Harris and Walz. Walz is on the bottom like he likes to be. You know, power bottom. Okay, so I'm pretty much done here. My next video, well, there'll be some sort of results. I don't know if there'll be a decider yet, as a deciding factor. But I'm making videos every day here, and then tomorrow Tuesday I won't be do much in the morning, and I'll wait till the election results and release something on Wednesday, which of course will be tomorrow for you guys because you'll be watching this on Tuesday. But I got some great comments here. Okay, let me pull them up here. Okay, the first one was from one of the viewers who comments regularly, because there's a little box there. And it says, "It's not the real Fetterman. You know that, right?" Now, I hope this person is fucking joking. Because why in the world would they replace Fetterman with what they have now? I mean, why would they replace him at all? It's just silliness. Like somebody has a health crisis, and there are people who believe, okay, they're going to just replace that guy. And, the clone thing, it doesn't work. I was one of the first people to say they could clone humans. Because if they can clone a sheep or a rhesus monkey or a horse, they can clone humans, right? We're all similar creatures. So they can clone humans. They have the technology. They've admitted it. It can be done. But what they can't do is clone somebody, turn them into adult, and then have them be able to walk and talk and do all the things adults can do. Clone them and so that they're at the same age that you are now. It doesn't work that way, right? Cloning, they can't accelerate the growth rate of the clone so it goes faster. It's the same process. What they basically do is take some cells and they have those cells start to replicate the birth process. So the cloning process takes the same amount of gestation period as a birth of that species, and they need a womb. They need to inseminate a woman with the cloned cells. That's what they would have to do. Now, if they get artificial wombs and these other things, the process will still be the same. They can't accelerate the growth process and then stop it. Okay, we'll make this creature grow to a 70-year-old man in 3 months, and then we'll stop it. But even if they did do that, the creature wouldn't, whatever this is, this person wouldn't be able to speak or use the potty correctly or feed themselves or walk because they didn't develop those things. You have to develop those skills, and if you don't develop them, like if you go into a coma, you lose those skills, right? And so it's like silliness to believe that they can do that. That's just imagination. But what's even worse is, like, use common sense. Why would they replace Fetterman with what they have now? Like, why would they do that? Why would they take that guy and replace him? I mean, he's the same guy because he acted the same way. He wasn't, that sharp when he started. He wasn't like great. I mean, he wasn't some intellectual genius who had the mastery of the ability to express himself. He was horrible. He still sucked then, right? And he's just a worse version of that. And whenever you say they're going to replace somebody, there has to be a reason for it. Like people say that Hillary Clinton's a clone. They barely roll her out anymore, right? They could just kill Hillary Clinton off and no one would care. She doesn't have a role to play anymore. Like she doesn't have really a fan base. There's nothing there. I mean, again, I hope this person's kidding, but it's just stupid. It's silly. You don't have to replace Fetterman. Like Fetterman didn't hold any kind of, it wasn't like he was resistant to the powers that be. He was a complete shill, and he was completely owned, just like all these other politicians. You don't have to replace him with another version, and there's somebody else willing to step into the same position, like some other puppet, right? I mean, there's all these people willing to sell their souls for a little bit of power and celebrity. You don't need to replace them. Like, it's silly. I mean, and if you're going to replace them, why would you replace them with somebody like that? Okay, let me pull up the other one here. Here it is. This one's a little bit longer. I'm going to make it bigger. I'll make it bigger. So I did my message to Kamlish Dodgy, the Heartfulness cult members. And it wasn't really just for him and them. Like, it applies. It's kind of interesting, but whatever. And somebody writes, wouldn't it be weird if the people at the tippy top of the beast system were actually saints that were helping guide humanity to its necessary path forward, enlightenment, that is to suffer as a whole, would strengthen the soul? And so, this is a good comment. And to some extent, that's true. It's hard to decipher, who's what in terms of any of these things. But a soul will play villains. A soul will play, the evolutionary process in the world, there's sometimes destruction that's necessary. Sometimes a villain is necessary for a heroic movement, right? Like Pontius Pilate, for example, and the the Pharisees that killed Jesus, they were necessary for that story, whatever it might be, right? A divine drama to play out. And sometimes higher developed souls incarnate as villains. And so I, gave the example that Hitler was, there's this book that was written called Conversations with God. And this guy asked God questions and God answered. And somebody asked Master Chargy, the third master of Seismic System, because this guy asked God about Hitler, and God's answer was, Hitler was a higher developed soul and destruction was necessary, and he was playing a role in the divine drama. And somebody asked him about this, Chargy about this, and Chargy said, yeah, this guy, I think, contacted Babaji in some way, the second master of the system, who gave all these channeled messages. But he said, either way, like Hitler's soul, there's these guys they called inmates in the ashram that would live there for free, and they have, they do some work around the ashram. Usually they were younger men. Sometimes they were families. And they are people maybe who were of a poorer status, but they were able to, live at the ashram, and they were, living a better material life, and they were able to devote their life to spirituality, as well as do work and service and volunteer around the ashram. It was kind of a coveted position for lots of people, and some of the families there. Some of the families their kids got to go to the school, and they was like people of a lower caste. And so when they went to the school, they would, they wouldn't have that access to that kind of education. Their kids came out and were immediately going up in societal, they get better jobs, and they would move up in the societal kind of structure. So it was kind of a good thing. But he said one of the inmates there used to be Hitler's soul. And so that was interesting. And so there is this, the soul that's Krishna, there's three cosmic forces, entities, gods, you might call them, that are in charge of Brahma, that's in charge of creation, Vishnu, that's in charge of preservation, and Shiva, that's in charge of destruction. And it's not a Hindu thing. Like those are Hindu names, but everything in nature needs a consciousness behind it. I've seen these Japanese, one of those Japanese cartoons by that famous, that Japanese cartoonist. They started to translate his cartoons and bring them to America. One was Totoro, another one was called Spirited Away. And like the river had a spirit, right? And that's true. Like everything in nature has some soul energy behind it. There's spiritual energy there, right? The sun has a soul, and the moon has a soul, and the earth, they all have a spiritual consciousness. They can't exist otherwise. Everything has to have, it's like software where you have a code, right? And so, all of these things have something behind them. Death, there's a spirit that is in charge of death, right? Like they think about the Grim Reaper. And it's not a, evil spirit. It's not a devil or something. Death is a natural process, and the spirit is around to help things to process their death. And so when Vishnu incarnates, he's incarnated several times, I think like 10 times. One was Rama, another one was Krishna. And he had this soul that was with him, that was like one of his, like, all around, he's a soul that's around him in the etheric world. And he said to the soul, you can incarnate 3 times as my friend, 10 times as my friend, or 3 times as my enemy. And he said, well, I'll take the 3 times, right? And the 3rd time was when he was Krishna, and he incarnated as this guy Shishupal, and Shishupal like hated Krishna, and was always insulting him. And Krishna, anybody that Krishna killed got liberated, so he didn't have to come back and be reborn. And so in this last life, Shishupal's mom was devoted to Krishna, so Krishna said, look, your son's a punk, but I'll give him 100 insults. But after the 100 insults, I'm killing him. And so he was like at 97, and he came into the court in this, whatever the name of the city they were in. I kind of know it, but I can't pronounce it. I'm not even going to try. And Hastinapur, something like that. And, I read the book, but it's, whatever. And saw the TV show. And he comes into the court, and the TV show is really like subpar, like in terms of the special effects and some of the acting, but it's kind of interesting. And Shishupal comes into the court, and Krishna knows he's at 97, and he goes, this is your day, Shishupal. And Shishupal comes up and starts talking shit to him, and he gets to 100 insults, and Krishna pulls out his disc and cuts his head off. But his soul was, in reality, his soul was one of Vishnu's closest, companions, a soul that was traveling around with him and doing work, right? But in the material world, he had to incarnate as Krishna's enemy because, and he had to do less lives, right? If he incarnated as his enemy, because he didn't want to come down here, right? So sometimes these higher developed souls have to come in as a villain or somebody. It's like a divine drama. And so that's why this thing shouldn't be taken seriously. People hate these souls, but oftentimes these souls are doing divine work. And if God wants this system, if it's time for the system to collapse, then all these motherfuckers that are making it collapse are a part of it, right? And so, like, the hatred of these people and, turning them into villains, sometimes they're doing God's work, and they're higher souls that, are just a part of something that is like we don't want as people, but as our souls want it, and God wants it, right? It's something that has to happen. So that's kind of an interesting comment by the person, and it's a way to think about things in a lighter way. We should be destroyed. I mean, if you look around, like, how can you make a case for us continuing to wreck the planet and go in the wrong direction and treat each other like shit, and like most people are miserable and incompetent? I mean, wouldn't it be better if there was something more real, like if we go back to being real people? Like, we're getting worse, and each generation gets worse. So what's it going to be like for these kids in the future? Look at the degradation that's happening, all of it. Like, it's not good. It's not like we're not going in the right direction. And so if the system can't be reversed, which it can't, and, systems die, everything dies, it's just okay. The world will survive, certainly will thrive, will be better off without America or any of these countries, any of the power systems and all of these things. The world will be better off without it, and the people will be too. We go back to being more natural people. Like, all this technological advancement, like, how has it really helped anybody? It's made us worse, right? And so it's not, the system being taken down isn't a tragedy. It's what should happen, right? We're going in the wrong fucking direction. We're not obeying the divine laws or principles, so it should be taken down. It should be like a welcome to everybody, a sigh of relief, because it's just, it's taken us all in a demonic direction. But anyways, speaking of which, elections tomorrow. We'll see how it goes, and, hopefully it'll be entertaining. I'm kind of more excited about than I thought it would. It's been sort of dragging on for me, and I was just kind of waiting for it to get over with it. People are saying I'm getting so many ads on my videos, but I'm not making shit for money. Like, in terms of what I made in 2020, I'll probably make under $3,000 this month, and I probably made like 7 or 8 in the same time period. I could look it up. I'll look it up at the end of this month, I'll look it up, or the end of October, the same kind of thing. When I can see how much money I made for October. I can see that now, so I'll look at that up. But, they're not paying me the same amount of money for the ads or anybody else, right? So YouTube's fucked everybody. Like, they're paying less money. Like, YouTube's changed the deal because they certainly are running ads because people are saying it, they're seeing them. And, and I have to take a look at that because unless I increase my viewership somehow or get more people as members or whatever it might be, like I just, I was having to face this. I said I'd wait till January after Christmas because it's usually, the ad money's good in Christmas as well. But, we'll see what happens. But anyways, Election Day tomorrow for you guys. You'll already be Tuesday when I release this video, and then we'll find out the results tomorrow night or something like that. I think it'll take some days, unless it's, Trump wins by a landslide or whatever. Kamala, I don't know. Who the fuck knows? I mean, in terms of them rigging it. And we'll see. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely pointing for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.